Before we dive in, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know. It was close to midnight when she finally stepped inside, her heels tapping against the floor like a taunt echoing through the quiet house. I'd been sitting there for hours, the food untouched, the whole place still except for the steady tick of the clock. Emily, my wife, walked in with the smug confidence of someone who believed the night belonged to her, wearing a grin like she just claimed some private victory. "Oh, please," she scoffed, tossing her coat onto the couch without a second thought. "You'll never do better than me." Her tone was sharp, arrogant, meant to sting. But instead of anger rising in me, something else settled inside, a cold, steady calm she wasn't expecting. I looked at her closely, really seeing her as she stood there in her expensive dress, hair perfect, posture dripping with superiority, the aura of someone who thought she was beyond consequence. And suddenly, it hit me how fragile that arrogance really was. It was nothing but a thin shell formed from months of lies, unaccounted nights, clipped replies, and excuses that never quite lined up. She truly believed she couldn't be touched, that her smirk could shield her from everything. But she forgot one thing. I wasn't the man she had been testing anymore. I had clarity now. I had patience. And most importantly, I had the truth, ready to crash over her like a wave. I inhaled slowly, letting my tone stay level, almost attached. "You might be right," I said quietly, letting every syllable carry weight. "I probably won't find anyone like you." Her smirk flickered, confusion slipping through for the first time. "Exactly," she replied, forcing the smugness back into place. "No one compares." But she didn't realize the shift had already happened. I wasn't reacting anymore. I wasn't chasing her anger. I was letting the truth stand on its own. My silence became the blade she never saw coming. Emily leaned back, arms crossed, waiting for the explosion she thought I'd bring. But I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even raise my voice. Instead, I walked right past her. I went to the living room cabinet and opened a small box I'd hidden earlier. Inside was the engagement ring she had mocked for months, believing it was hers to belittle without consequence. I held it up between us. "Here," I said calmly. I realized I was wasting my time. This should go to someone who actually respects herself, and me. Her eyes widened, the arrogance slipping off her face as panic took its place. "Wait, what are you talking about?" she stuttered, her voice quivering. I didn't dignify it with an answer. I just walked toward the door, placing the ring gently on the table next to my coat. I paused for a moment and looked back at her. That's when she finally understood. She wasn't holding the power anymore. All the late nights, the dismissive comments, the smug glances, they all collapsed instantly under the weight of her own actions. She could feel the ground shift beneath her. The silence that followed was suffocating. Emily looked pale, gripping the back of a chair like she needed it to stay upright. Fear clouded her eyes, the realization of what she had finally lost ripping through her. You can't just walk out," she whispered, voice trembling. I gave her a small, calm smile. "I can," I said softly. "And I am. You made your choices. Now you face the fallout." The arrogance she wore like armor was gone. What remained was shock, humiliation, and the raw fear of someone who suddenly understood the cost of their own behavior. I stepped outside into the cool night air, the streetlights stretching shadows across the porch. Leaves rustled faintly in the wind, drowning out the frantic sound of her calling after me. Her voice barely registered. That moment was over, and so was the cycle she thought she controlled. When I came back the next morning, she was in the living room, hands covering her face, completely undone. The arrogance was gone. No smirk, no confidence. No taunts, just silence. She sat trembling, staring at the ring on the table, like it was a verdict she never expected. And in a way, it was. I poured myself a glass of water, walked past her, and said quietly, "This is what happens when you underestimate me." The words hit her instantly. Outside, neighbors who'd sensed tension for months now watched with curiosity, whispering among themselves as she tried to keep her world from falling apart. But she couldn't. It was too late. The damage was done. Her carefully polished image had cracked. The woman who once strutted through life untouchable was now weighed down by fear, regret, and a truth she could no longer ignore. By the end of the day, she walked out of the house without a single word. No attitude, no denial, just silence and humiliation. I stayed behind, steady, composed, finally at peace. Her arrogance had collapsed, not because I raised my voice, not because I fought back, but because I simply stopped letting her control the narrative. And that's when I realized something powerful. Sometimes the quietest response is the one that hits hardest.